Good morning, friends. I thought I would record a video of this morning's Learn and Grow because I noticed that some of you had trouble with your connection, and I wanted you to get to hear the story too. So the first thing I'm going to do for our time together, though, is I'm going to light this candle. This candle reminds us that God is with us and God loves us all the time. And even though you and I are not together physically right now, the light of this candle can be with both of us. Today's selection for Learn and Grow is the book Stone Soup. And it goes like this. 3 monks, Hawk, Lock, and See-Ew, traveled along a mountain road. They talked about cat whiskers, the color of the sun, and giving. "What makes one happy, See-Ew?" asked Hawk, the youngest monk. Old See-Ew, who was the wisest, said, "Let's find out." The sound of a bell brought their gaze to the rooftops of a village below. They could not see from so high above that the village had been through many hard times. Famine, floods, and war had made the villagers weary and untrusting of strangers. They had even become suspicious of their neighbors. The villagers worked hard, but only for themselves. There was a farmer, a tea merchant, a scholar, a seamstress, a doctor, a carpenter, and many others. But they had little to do with one another. When the monks reached the foot of the mountain, the villagers disappeared into their houses. No one came to the gates to greet them. And when the people saw them enter the village, they closed their windows tight. The monks knocked on the door of the first house. There was no answer. Then the house went dark. They knocked on a second door, and the same thing happened. It happened again and again from one house to the next. "These people do not know happiness," they all agreed. "But today," said See-Ew, his face bright as the moon, "we will show them how to make stone soup." They gathered twigs and branches and made a fire. They placed a small tin pot on top and filled it with water from the village well. A brave little girl who had been watching came to them. "What are you doing?" she asked. "We are gathering twigs," said Lock. "We are making a fire," said Hawk. "We are making stone soup. And we need the 3 round, smooth stones," said See-Ew. The little girl helped the monks look around the courtyard until they found just the right ones. Then they put them in the water to cook. "These stones will make excellent soup," said See-Ew, "but this very small pot won't make much, I'm afraid." "My mother has a bigger pot," said the girl. The little girl ran home. As she started to take a pot, her mother asked what she was doing. "The 3 strangers are making soup from stones," she said. "They need our biggest pot." Said the girl's mother. "Stones are easy to come by. I'd like to learn how to do that." The monks poked the coals. As smoke drifted up, the neighbors peered out from their windows. The fire and the large pot in the middle of the village was a true curiosity. One by one, the people of the village came out to see just what stone soup was all about. "Of course, old-style stone soup should be well seasoned with salt and pepper," said Hawk. "That is true," said Lock, as he stirred the giant pot filled with water and stones. "But we have none." "I have some salt and pepper," said the scholar, his eyes big with curiosity. He disappeared and came back with salt and pepper and even a few spices. See-Ew took a taste. "The last time we had stones this shape and size and color, carrots made the broth very sweet." "Carrots," said a woman in the back. "I may have a few carrots, but just a few." And off she ran. She returned with as many carrots as she could carry and dropped them into the pot. Do you think it would be better with onions? Asked Hawk. Oh yes, maybe an onion would taste good, said a farmer, and he hurried off. He returned in a moment with 5 big onions, and he dropped them into the bubbling soup. Now that's a fine soup, he said. The villagers all nodded their heads, as the smell was very agreeable. But if only we had some mushrooms, said See-Ew, rubbing his chin. Several villagers licked their lips. A few dashed away and returned with fresh mushrooms, noodles, pea pods, and cabbages. Something magical began to happen among the villagers. As each person opened their heart to give, the next person gave even more. And as this happened, the soup grew richer and smelled more delicious. I imagine the emperor would suggest we add dumplings, said one villager. And bean curd, said another. What about cloud ear and mung beans and yams, cried some others. And taro root and winter melon and baby corn, cried other villagers. Garlic, ginger root, soy sauce, lily buds. I have some, people cried out. And off they ran, returning with all they could carry. The monks stirred and the pot bubbled. How good it smelled. How good it would taste. How giving the villagers had become. At last the soup was ready. The villagers gathered together. They brought rice and steamed buns. They brought lychee nuts and sweet cakes. They brought tea to drink, and they lit their lanterns. Everyone sat down to eat. They had not been together for a feast like this for as long as anyone could remember. After the banquet, they told stories, sang songs, and celebrated long into the night. Then they unlocked their doors and took the monks into their homes and gave them a very comfortable place to sleep. In the gentle spring morning, everyone gathered together near the willows to say farewell. Thank you for having us as your guests, said the monks. You have been most generous. Thank you, said the villagers. With the gifts you have given, we will always have plenty. You have shown us that sharing makes us all richer. And to think, said the monks, to be happy is as simple as making stone soup. I really like that book. And I really like it because it's all about the way that we give and we help and we share with each other. And I wanted to ask you a question about that. I have a big pot here, and I have a spoon, and I have a stone. And this stone has been washed in my kitchen, so please don't worry about that. But if I took this stone and I put it in the pot, and I added water, and I put it on my stove, and I let it simmer for 20 minutes, and I stirred it, and I tended it, what do you think that soup would taste like? Do you think that it would smell good? Do you think that it would have very much flavor? Now, if you were at my house and we were making this soup and I had the water and the stone all together and you brought carrots to share and we added those carrots to the pot and we stirred, and before we knew it, another friend came and that friend brought an onion. And we peeled that onion and we chopped it all up and we put it in the pot with the carrots and the stone and the water on the stove and we stirred and we stirred. Oh, I can imagine it's starting to smell now. And then another friend might come and that friend would bring celery. And we'd add the celery to the pot and before we know it, there's a knock at the door and another friend. And maybe that friend has brought a pepper. And over time, if more and more friends came and they brought more and more ingredients, chicken and noodles and mushrooms and all the things you can imagine, and if we put it on my stove and we let it simmer all together and I stirred it and cared for it, how do you think that soup would taste? Why do you think that soup would taste so good? Now, in this pot, in addition to the stone and the carrots and the celery and the mushrooms and all of those things, there's a secret ingredient. an ingredient that you put into this soup without even realizing you were doing it. When we added each of these things to this pot, we added them because we care about each other. Because when we are together, we are better. And with all of the other ingredients we put into this pot, we also put something else that was really special. We filled this pot with love. Now, stone soup is a pretty special and magical thing. But stone soup isn't the only way that we can show how much we care to our friends and our family at this time. There are lots of different acts of kindness and love that we can share with the people in our home. And there's lots of different acts of kindness and love that we can share with the other people out in the world that aren't near us. And I wonder if you will think about those. I wonder if you can think about them and come up with something that you could do today to share God's love with your family, to share God's love with your pets, and maybe even a way that you can share God's love with the world. Goodbye for now, friends. The last thing I'm going to do before I leave is I'm going to send God's love out to be with you. And I can't wait to see you again soon. Remember that God's love follows you everywhere you go. And there you go.